Hello and good afternoon to everyone. My name is TAMANG, a teacher trainee of B.Ed second semester from Siliguri Tarai B.Ed College and Siliguri Primary Teacher Training College, and my method paper is Life Science, and the topic which I'm going to discuss about is plant movement. And as we all know that most of the plants are fixed to the soil and cannot move bodily from one place to another, but some lower group of plants like volvox, oscillatoria, etc. can change its position in response to stimulus. So, when the part or organ of an organism changes its position or direction in response to stimuli, it is termed as movement. But when an organism changes its positions from one place to another, it is termed as locomotion. So now let's have a look at the definitions of the plant movement. The process by which the living organism remains fixed at a place but its parts and organs show change of positions due to the influence of stimuli is known as movement. Types of plant movement. Plant movement are classified into three categories, that is, tactic movement, tropic movement, and Monastic movement. Tactic movement. Tactic movement is the movement induced by external stimuli like temperature, light, chemicals, etc. And the example of tactic movement are like volvox and many other algae, which shows phototactic movement. And under dim light, it shows positive phototactic movement, and under intense light, it shows a negative phototactic movement. Next is tropic movement. So tropic movement is the directions of movement of plant organ which bears a definite relations to the directions of stimuli than the movement. And depending upon the nature of external stimuli, the tropic movement are of different types, that is, Phototropic movement, Geotropic movement, and Hydrotropic movement. Phototropic movement. Phototropic movement is the movement of plant parts in response to the light stimulus. And to understand this, we can have a look at these pictures of the potted plant which is placed in a room near the open window through which adequate light falls on the plants. And what we can see is that after a few days we can find that the shoot portions of the plant grow towards the open window, that is towards the source of the light, showing a positive phototropic movement, and the root portions grows away from the directions of light, showing a negative phototropic movement. Next is geotropic movement. Geotropic movement, or also we can say it as geotropism, it is a movement of plant organ induced by force of gravity. And to understand this, we can have a look at these pictures in which we have placed the flower pot horizontally, and when we place the flower pot horizontally, we can find that after a few days the root portions goes downwards and the shoot portion goes upwards, showing a positive and negative geotropism. And next is hydrotropic movement. So hydrotropic movement is the movement of plant organ in response to water stimuli. Hydrotropic movement can also be called as hydrotropism, and to understand this, we can have a look at these pictures. We can clearly see that where there is the source of water, the roots is showing a positive hydrotropism. That means it is going towards the source of water, and the shoot portions are growing upwards. That means towards the not towards the directions of water. That means it is showing a negative hydrotropism, and the roots are showing a positive hydrotropism. Monastic movement. A monastic movement is the movement of a plant organ that bears no relation to the directions of the stimuli but is responsive to the intensity of the stimuli. And according to the nature of the stimuli, monastic movement can be classified as photomonastic movement, thermonastic movement, chemonastic movement, and seismonastic movement. First is photomonastic movement, and Photonastic movement means the type of movement that a plant shows in response to the intensity of the light. And we can easily, and for examples, we can take this sunflower. It is best known that photonastic movement is the slip movement of leaves. The leaves of many leguminous plants and those of clovers expand horizontally during the day and begins to drop and close towards evening. The opening of the flower like this sunflower or some flowers like water lily, moonflower, poppy, etc. after sunrise and closing after sunset is an example of photonastic movement. And the flowers of these plants exhibit positive photonastic movement, whereas some species like chestnut, etc., opened in the dark and shows a negative photonastic movement. Next is thermonastic movement, and thermonastic movement is the movement induced by the intensity of the temperatures. And for this we can have a look at these pictures like the opening of this tulip. When the temperature is low, the tulip flower will be closed like this, but as soon as the temperature rises, the tulip flower will bloom. That means it is showing its movement according to the intensity of the temperature. Next is chemonastic movement. Chemonastic movement is the movement induced by the presence of certain chemical substance and is dependent of the directions of stimulus. And the examples is like this Dorsera plant, which is showing a positive chemonastic movement, which is chemonastic movement in which the tentacles is curved in response to the soluble protein placed in the center of the leaves, like this. Next is seismonastic movement. Seismonastic movement is the movement which is induced by the stimulus like touch, pressure, shock, shaking, etc. And the best example of seismonastic movement is the drooping down of the leaflets of the sensitive plant, that is Mimosa pudica, this one, or so we also call it as touch-me-not plant. In the before and the after pictures, we can clearly see that it is showing a clear seismonastic movement. So the leaf is subjected to sudden touch. The leaves and its parts droop down very rapidly. This is due to the fact that the tragedy of the thin-walled parenchymatous cells present in the swollen leaf base suddenly drop in response to the stimulus. Water is raised from the motor cells to the intercellular space and they suddenly collapse, resulting in dropping down of the leaflets of the leaves of this touch-me-not plant when we touch them, showing a very positive seismonastic movement. So these are some of the few movements which a plant shows, which were classified under 3 categories, that is tactic, tropic and Gnostic. And the difference between tactic, tropic and Gnostic is that tactic movement is the movement of locomotions and it is induced by the external stimuli and it shows its movement by changing its place. And tropic movement is the movement of the curvature and it is induced by the directions of the stimuli, and in this movement the plant organ changes its place. And Gnostic movement is also a movement of curvatures and it is induced by the intensity of the stimuli, and in this movement the plant organ changes its structures. So these were some of the few movements that a plant shows. So thank you all for giving me your valuable time and listening me till the very end of this video. I hope the notes which I prepared about the plant movement will be helpful and beneficial in understanding the various movement which a plant shows in response to stimulus. And last, I just want to thanks once again. So thank you all.